All right, Shalom. Welcome back to the Code Searcher. You guys, I want to show you in this video how you can, people ask me all the time, how do you get a code? How do you think of or figure out access terms? Well, there's a couple of ways that you could do this. You could do this from headlines. If we're going to do historical things, things that are happening right now or past events, you could pull it from history or headlines. Or if we're searching biblical things, we can pull it right from the plain text. For example, if I wanted to search a word that appears in the text like 14 times, which is end of days, that's in the text 14 times. We can also search it as an access term to get a code. Well, you can do the same thing with the words of Yeshua, right, in the New Testament. And I want to give you an example. John 4, the woman at the well. Now, in this presentation, we're going to unpack several things simultaneously. The bottom line is I got a code to share with you. And I know there are many of you that are missing the codes right now. I'm going to share a code with you. It's called in spirit and in truth. It's something Yeshua says to the woman at the well. We're even going to search it live right here. I'm going to pull up the code program and search that with you so you can see the process in doing that. But at the same time, I'm going to be pointing some things out in the text that actually lays out a timeline that we can glean from. And yes, I'm using that word with intention because I'm talking about agriculture here. All right. At the same time, Yeshua does it. Yeshua uses agriculture in the story, or in the story that you read in John, to make a point. Okay. And if we point out the exact time that he's saying that, I think you will understand some things, okay? Because this is at the beginning of his ministry. Also, he has just turned water into wine. So what is that, John 2 or 3? Something like that. So we're going to be looking at John 4, but I'm going to mention what happened previously in the wedding in Cana, where he turns water into wine, and why that's significant to the timeline, because we're going to see something here. Interesting how this story and what happened all right, so Yeshua is making a journey. He's going down to Jerusalem for at the beginning of his ministry. He's going to get baptized by John. There's a feast that happens there. The text doesn't really pay too much attention about the Passover that Yeshua experiences in the beginning of his ministry. It more focuses on the Seder, the Last Supper, at the end of his ministry. But he, in fact, starts his ministry when he comes into Jerusalem in the springtime. So we're right there at Passover time, all right? So we're going to look at that in John 4. So I love visuals, and I'm just going to use a clip here from this series. Now, some of you may not like the series because who produces it, but that's irrelevant to the point. I'm going to use this interaction here to emphasize something, okay? So we're going to look at the woman in the well, at the well, from this series, The Chosen, just to make a point. Teaching opportunity. Here we go. So Yeshua's coming from, I believe it's Capernaum. He's already gone through the wedding. He goes with his mother's there. Of course, you guys know the story. Turns water into wine. But now, when he's in Samaria, this is another interaction, and this is very significant because Yeshua tells us in another text that he is coming for the lost sheep of Israel, right? And this woman who is from Samaria, or she's Samaritan, is in fact an Israelite that's been exiled. All right. In 722 BC, they were exiled. So he's interacting with a lost sheep here. Keep that in mind.
Drink? Did you hear me?
That bad, huh?
What?
You, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a Samaritan, and a woman.
I'm sorry. I should have said please.
You guys, you know, in Yeshua's ministry, if you notice something, he always was out after or hung around the outcast, right? The woman they were going to try to stone, the prostitute. Yeshua spoke for her, right? He was always defending the outcasts, the exiles, the we want you nots, right? The ones that were rejected.
You know, it's not safe for you to be alone out here.
Nor you. Why haven't you come with others? Why so late in the day? Don't women come to the wells in the cool of the morning?
Yeah, well, none of them will be seen with me, so I have to come at noon in the heat, as you have so kindly reminded me.
Why won't they be seen with you?
Long story.
I'd still like a drink of water if you can spare it.
Amazing what a parched throat will do. Aren't I unclean to you? Won't you be defiled by this vessel?
Maybe some of my people say that about your women, but I don't.
Yeah? And what do you say?
I say if you knew who I am, you'd be asking me for a drink.
You guys, this is happening right before Passover. So this is early spring coming into the spring. Mind you, the waning at Cana was way before this. This is days and days before this, where the wedding happened. Okay, where Yeshua was turning. They were running out of wine, and he creates new wine, and it was the best wine, right? All right. So a picture of Acts 2 in there with the wine. Early spring, new wine is not available in that time. This is why one of the reasons why it's a miracle. It's the best wine, and Yeshua produced it way before it was available. So this is a miracle here, right? But it's his early spring. He's going down to Jerusalem for a festival, right? And that festival is Passover.
Really?
And I would give you living water.
Would. Except that you have nothing to draw water with, and this is a deep well. Besides, what do you need from me if you have your own supply of living water?
Long story.
But Jewish water is better than Samaritan water.
That's not what I
Are
said.
you a better man than our ancestor Jacob, who dug this well? Your water is better than his?
I know Jacob. And everyone who drinks this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks the water that I give him will never be thirsty again.
Wouldn't that be nice?
The water I give will become in a person a spring of water welling up to eternal life.
Really?
Yes, really.
Prove it.
First, go and call your husband and come back. I will show you both.
I don't have a husband.
You are right. You've had 5 husbands.
All right, so Yeshua's testing her. He knows everything about her. That's obvious. He's establishing something with her.
And the man you're living with now is not your husband.
Oh, I see. You're a prophet. You're here to preach at me.
No.
Usually the one good thing about coming here alone is I can escape being condemned.
I'm not here to condemn you.
I've made mistakes. Too many. But it's men like you who have made it impossible for me to do anything about it.
How?
Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain. But you Jews insist Jerusalem is the only place for true worship.
Now, this is important because she's saying our ancestors. She's talking about Israel, and she's talking about Mount Gerizim because they built a temple there that rivaled the temple in Jerusalem. Okay?
They say that because the temple is there.
Exactly where we're not allowed.
I'm here to break those barriers. And the time is coming when neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem will you worship the Father.
So, where am I supposed to go when I need God? I've never...
The Israelites, the outcasts, were not allowed to come to the temple, you guys. They were exiled, okay? So where am I supposed to go?
Received anything from God, but I couldn't thank him even if I did.
Anywhere. God is spirit. And the time is coming and is now here that it won't matter where you worship, but only that you do it
in spirit and in truth. This is where we get this term.
in spirit and truth. Heart and mind, that is the kind of worshiper he's looking for.
Heart and mind.
It won't matter where you're from or what you've done.
You guys see, you see the Pharisees and even the religious Jews that weren't Pharisees, but they followed the Pharisees, they would spit on this woman. They would stay away from her. They wouldn't even speak to her because she's like the Canaanite woman. Remember how I did the teaching where I showed the difference between the Canaanite woman and the Samaritan woman? How Yeshua referred to the Canaanite woman as a dog. But this woman, by all respects, in the eyes of the Pharisees, is the same thing as the Canaanite woman because they mixed with the Canaanites and they become idol worshippers, and they were doing evil things. The northern tribes. This is one of their problems: the idol worship. Yeshua is coming after her. He's accepting her.
Do you believe what I'm telling you?
Until the Messiah comes and explains everything and sorts this mess out, including me, I don't trust in anyone.
You're wrong when you say that you've never received anything from God. This Messiah you speak of, I am he. The first one was named Ramin. You were a woman of purity who was excited to be married, but he wasn't a good man. He hurt you, and it made you question marriage and even the practice of your faith.
Stop it.
The second was Farzad. On your wedding night, his skin smelled like oranges. And to this day, every time you pass by the oranges in the market, you feel guilty for leaving him, because he was the only truly godly man you've been with. But you felt unworthy.
Why are you doing this?
I have not revealed myself to the public as the Messiah. You are the first. It would be good if you believed me.
You picked the wrong person.
I came to Samaria just to meet you. Do you think it's an accident that I'm here in the middle of the day?
I am rejected by others.
I know, but not by the Messiah.
And you know these things because you are the Christ. I'm going to tell everyone.
I was counting on it.
Make note, she's going to tell everyone, right? You see that also in the text, that she goes and tells all of the other Samaritans that she just met the Messiah.
Spirit and truth.
Spirit and truth.
It won't be all about mountains or temples.
Soon, just the heart.
You promise.
I promise.
This man told me everything I've done. Oh, he must be the Christ.
Hey, wait!
All right, so let's go from there to the text, John 4, because there's a little bit of Hollywood in that, but also it leaves out some of the most critical information, and that's what we're going to read here. John 4. Therefore, when Adonai knew that the Pharisees had heard, actually, let's just go down to where he meets her. A woman in Samaria came to draw water, and Yeshua said unto her, give me a drink. For his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Then the woman of Samaria said to him, how is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? For the Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. And Yeshua said unto her, if you knew the gift of Elohim, and who it is that says to you, give me a drink, you would ask of him, and he would have given you living water. The woman said to him, sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our fathers, Jacob? Because she's Hebrew, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as the well is his sons and his livestock's. And Yeshua answered and said to her, whoever drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst again. For the water I shall give him will become in him, will become in him a fountain of water springing up to everlasting life. And the woman said to him, sir, give me this water, that I might not thirst, nor come here to draw. And Yeshua said unto her, go and call your husband to come here. And the woman answered, I have no husband. And Yeshua said to her, you said, well, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you now have is not your husband. In that you spoke truly. And the woman said to him, sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worship on this mountain, and you Jews say that Jerusalem is the place where we ought to worship. Again, I explained Mount Gerizim and what they were doing there. And Yeshua said to her, woman, believe me, the hour is coming where you will neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You will worship what you do not know. We know that we worship for salvation is of the Jews, but the hour is coming and is now when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. That's going to be our access term. For the Father is seeking such to worship him. Yah is spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And the woman said to him, I know that the Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. That's inserted. When he comes, he will tell us all things. And Yeshua said to her, I who speak to you am he. Now this is what the video there, or the little movie that they did, doesn't point out. It doesn't point out the total white harvest thing. It just about when Yeshua says, I'm not hungry, right? It doesn't go into the very profound thing that he says in verse 34. We're going to look at that a little deeper. And at this point, his disciples came and they marveled that he had talked with a woman, yet no one said, what do you seek, or why are you talking with her? The woman, the woman then left her water pot and went on her way to the city and said to the men, the other Samaritans, come, see a man who told me all things that I ever did. Could this be the Messiah? And they went out of the city and came to him. And by the way, all the way to Jerusalem and even into when Yeshua is crucified, a lot of these followers are, in fact, Israelites. They're Samaritans. They're outcasts. And the text doesn't tell you that, but you can kind of glean that from who is most interested in Yeshua. It wasn't really the Jews, especially the religious Jews following Pharisees. It wasn't them. It was the outcasts. All right. In the meantime, his disciples urged him, saying, Rabbi, eat. And he said to them, I have food to eat which you do not know. And therefore the disciples said to him, has anyone brought him anything to eat? And Yeshua said to him, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish my work, his work. And here's where it gets interesting. Do you not say there are still 4 months, then comes the harvest? Now, why is that important? Because right there, and I've talked about this in the last video to Chris Ray, that same point, we're literally in the time where the grain is being smitten in Exodus 9. Literally. You got to be kidding me. Four months, then harvest comes. We're literally in the part of Exodus 9 of the Bible, right here, in the very same spot, right before the Passover. And all right, so wheat at that point in Exodus 9 looks like grass. At this very same point, because when wheat is just looking like grass, it has 4 months and it's ready to be harvested. 120 days total for the spring wheat. We're talking about 4 months. So at the time Yeshua is saying this, the wheat looks like grass. And so he's saying something that is very absurd when we're talking about wheat. But he's not talking about wheat. Why? He's talking about the Samaritan woman, the people that are ready to be harvested. He says, do you not say that there's still 4 months and then the harvest come? Behold, I say to you, lift up your eyes and look at the fields, the world, for they are ready, already white for harvest. He who reaps receives wages and gathers fruit for eternal life, and that both he who sows and he who reaps may rejoice together. For in this the saying is true, one who sows and the other reaps. And I sent you to reap that which you have not labored, but others have labored, and you have entered into their labors. So when Yeshua sends them out to their ministry, right, they're going for the lost sheep. And they may be reaping them on other people's labors. And many of the Samaritans of that city believed in him because of the word of the woman who testified. They believed just what the woman said. That's faith, folks. That is faith. They believed the words of the woman. That's why Yeshua came. He came to start a fire in the lost sheep. And Yeshua was planting seeds in the lost sheep that later, that's going to spread like wildfire. And wildfire spreads fast, very fast, all through the region and out of the region. So when the disciples are going after they wait on Shabbat and are endowed with power, then they go into the world. They're going after lost sheep that have heard and the seeds have been planted, and they're going to encourage that and even plant more seeds. And those people, like this woman, they also plant seeds. So for every wheat stalk, it takes 1 grain to grow the wheat stalk. But that 1 grain is going to produce many grains. You understand the concept? That's why we're compared to wheat. You're not just supposed to listen, the grain's supposed to be planted and produce fruit. So it wasn't planted into you just so it could go by the wayside or into the rocks or into unfertile ground. It was meant to grow so that it would produce more fruit. A lot of times you have to die to yourself. And so falling by the wayside and not getting on fertile ground is not dying to yourself, right? The grain is just going to wither away. It's not going to produce any fruit that way. All right. So Yeshua is establishing something with the agriculture here, the whitened harvest, days before Passover. Yeshua is establishing. Condition of the wheat is not nowhere near ready. I've shown you that from Scripture, from this time, this very time of Exodus 9, right before Passover, within a few days. The wheat is not even. It's like I can imagine myself being there when Yeshua said that and looking at the wheat field, going, "He's obviously not talking about wheat." And after witnessing what he just did with the Samaritan woman, I would have been able to logically deduce that he was talking about people at that point. He wasn't talking about the grass that we could literally see growing right there. All right. So that's important, you guys. Very important. In spirit and in truth. That, and I skipped completely by the experience with Nicodemus, where he says another term that we could actually, being born of the Spirit, right? We could also search that, but we're going to focus on this. This is what it looks like. I'm going to take you to the translator and show you the exact letters that we're going to look for, which is in spirit and in truth. Bet resh vav chet vav bet aleph mem tav. In spirit and in truth. So let's go to the code program interface. And I'm working really hard, you guys, to get this to where it's available to everybody on the website. I'm even mailing out copies of this to people because we've got to preserve what we have. We cannot let it go away. And I'm struggling to develop new software. It's like putting a man on the moon. It's not as easy as you think. Anyway, here's the interface. We're going to search for that exact thing. All right, so we're going to search out that term in the whole Bible. And this is how we do that. We're going to search out which is in spirit and in which is truth. In spirit and in truth. All possible skips. And if you look down at the bottom right here, you'll see the results that have come up. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. We've got 3 results. So now from here, if you notice, the one that's last here, 23,789, is the smallest skip. Normally, we would want to search the smallest skip, but all are valid. And with these larger ones, like we could look at, what a skip of that large looks. And if you notice anything about this, it's got a huge margin down below. Let me change that window color there. There's a huge margin down below, as you see, which is completely opposite of the Yeshua is my name in Isaiah 53, which is at a skip of 20. This is a skip of 73642. So this is a rather extremely large cylinder. It gives us a huge margin down here. We could search it this way, or we could put a row skip on it and fill this in because it would make the cylinder smaller. All right. So that's what you do. I just wanted to point out the difference between the Isaiah 53, the very small skip, the ones that are only appearing in one chapter. This literally spans from Genesis all the way through the 2nd Chronicles, the whole Tanakh. So you put a row skip on this. You divide this by a number, 2, 3, 4, no, nothing more than that. And then you would put in right here that matrix width. We can modify that. Matter of fact, let me just, for the sake of presentation here, let's just go ahead and do that. I'm going to take that number, 73642 divided by 2 is 36,821. We would put that right here in this. 36,821. And you'll see the difference. What happens here when we do that? We're going to make the cylinder smaller, and I can scroll up just a little bit. and you see that we have a matrix that is twice as much as we had before, right? All of these letters we are part of our matrix now. Now we could put another row skip on this and fill it in a little more. Well, we don't want to go too far, right? We don't want to make it too small. We want to keep it within a range, and that's just good methodology. All right. So let's go to an advanced version of what I've just showed you with the row skip. So I've already worked this a little bit. And center it back right here. All right. So the words of Yeshua, in spirit and in truth, appears as an access term. Obviously, I put a row skip on it. And, a few things are very, first of all, this is simple. It's simplified. I haven't got to work this a whole lot. So there's not a whole lot of terms, but the terms that are here are very significant. Yeshua's name, because he spoke these words, connecting with that right there, and then going into where it goes to is very significant. You can see there we got a word woven in between the access term. That word right there means a picture, an illustration, or something along that. It's something that we're supposed to. You got to be kidding. Picture, illustration, or like a point he's making here. In spirit and in truth. And then we see the word truth connected to the word truth right there at the right angle. The word Mashiach or Messiah is here. And the word for worship. The word worship here. The voice of God in the plain text. And I want to go to where this is. Looks like my internet is going in and out. I don't know how good this video is going to be. We'll see. So that is Isaiah 52, the very last part of 52 going into 53. So verse 12. For ye shall not go out with haste, nor by flight, for Yah will go before you, and Yah of Israel will be your reward. Behold, my servant, Yeshua. We're talking about Yeshua. Shall deal prudently, and he shall be exalted and extolled, and very high. As many were astonished at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than his sons of men. We're talking about Isaiah 53, where it's encoded, Yeshua is my name, encoded in there. All right, so this is buttresses, this kind of buttress right here. Words of Yeshua, his name, about him, specifically about him, running right through there. Imagine that. Then I want to point out what happens here in Joel, because this is very significant. It's agriculture. And Yeshua said this right before he makes agricultural idioms and talks about the agriculture. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in Yah, your Elohim, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the former rain and the latter rain in the first month. And the floors shall be full of wheat, and the fats shall overflow with wine and oil. Wheat, wine, and oil are only available in the summer months, you guys. Even though it says all right, so when the rains come, this is going to produce the growth, but the fruit comes when the floors are full of wheat, the fat shall overflow with wine and oil. That's in the summertime. And I will restore to you the years that the locusts, look at what's mentioned here: locusts, cankerworms, caterpillars, palmer worms, all pests of agriculture. And he says here, I will restore to you the agricultural years, I'm inserting that obviously, that the locust hath eaten, the cankerworm, the caterpillar, and the palmer worm. and my great army which I send among you, and ye shall eat in plenty, because of the what's been restored, right? Because we're talking about agriculture here. That's what all of those things have to do with agriculture. It eats the crops. In other words, time and things being lost in the end times, with as far as the agricultural account, has been eaten away by spiritual locust, cankerworm, caterpillar, and palmer worms. Yah is going to restore that back to us. And ye shall eat plenty and be satisfied. We're talking about spiritually. And praise the name of Yah, Yod-Heh Vav-Heh, your Elohim, that he hath dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed. That's amazing. Next verse, right down here, this was going to be in Psalms, chapter 119. Interesting where this is, where this runs through. 119:43, let's start there. Take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments. So I shall keep thy law continually forever and ever. And I will walk in liberty and seek thy precepts. And I will speak of thy testimonies as before kings and not be ashamed. And I will delight myself in thy commandments, which I have loved. And my hands also lift up unto thy commandments, which I have loved. And I will meditate on thy statutes. Remember the word of thy servant. And this is, by the way, the word of his servant, which thou hast caused me to hope. This is my comfort and affliction, for thy word hath quickened me. And that is what I got for you in spirit and truth. Now I'm going to expound on this later, because this goes a little deeper, a lot deeper, what it means in spirit and truth. We're talking about mind and spirit. By the way, I should have searched for those two words. I should have searched for those. Yeah. All right. So, you guys, when you see this code next time, I will have more terms in it. I don't know why I didn't think about that sooner. So, as I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking about terms, and if I don't write them down, I'll forget them. Next time, probably class, I'll share this again in spirit and truth, and what's coming out of that. You guys, those that were in the upper room in Acts 2, we're worshiping in spirit and in truth. All right, keep that in mind. Shavuot is still ahead. We're not at the biblical wheat harvest. I don't care what they're doing in modern Israel right now with the GMO grains. This only adds to the confusion. And I'm so thankful that there's benchmarks in the scripture that gives us so specific that we can rule out the 30,000 varieties that are available today and narrow it down to what we are talking about. We're specifically talking about a spring variety of emmer wheat. It's planted at a very specific time. It's not planted in the autumn. I'm sorry. So I think I've hoped that we've established this, but I still see comments in Barbara's group where people are going, well, is it Shavuot right now? Is it Shavuot? And I'm just thinking, oh my God, help me, please. Shalom to you. We'll see you in the next video.